Whoops, I forgot to plug in my microphone, but that's fine. Hello, friends. I am back to another session of Koriko. I am still on departures, so we'll see how long this is. I might combine the videos, in which case, hello part 2. But in any case, I am really enjoying recording these, like pre-recording these for the stream, and I hope you're enjoying watching them. I currently have snoring puppies under my desk, so please excuse the noise if you're able to hear it. They are being very adorable right now. But in any case, we just said our goodbyes to Grotwin, our mentor at our hometown, which I had named. Let's see, what did I call it? So my character's name is Ramara because it's hard for me to come up with names easily. So I pulled that character name from a character that I played on stream recently. And my familiar is Dahlia, the Boston Terrier, because she would totally be up for adventure. Let's see, where am I from? Croft La Marche, because it sounded vaguely French, not terribly French, but it's like someone who likes French saw the le and thought it was cool and just added it to a name. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the names that's in the book itself, so I just pulled it because I liked it. But yes, so I'll reread my goodbyes section for y'all. Actually, you know what? Let's read the whole thing because I wasn't... Well, not the whole thing, but I was writing a lot, so I did mess things up a little bit with the reflections because I had not fully processed what was happening at the moment. But so for the farewells, I ended up answering 4 questions instead of 2, but we're fine with that. So with the reflections, they said, what will you miss most about home? And I went on a long spiel, but what I wrote was the brook where she meditates and thinks, reads and works. What are you glad to leave behind? And technically I answered 8 questions, I guess, because each number has 2. So what are you glad to leave behind? Bullies and judgment of others, the lack of feeling like she belongs. And then the next one was, who in the village has always believed in your potential? And I just wrote Grotwin, 100%. They are fully on board with whatever Ramara does and truly believe in her. Whose reservations will you be glad to escape? Is the town gossips and busybodies. And then the second day's reflections, how do you wish you were more like your mentor? I wrote that they are very self-assured and self-reliant and never need help from anybody, although that could just be Ramara's perceptions rather than the reality. And then, how are you glad to be different? I wrote that Ramara is more adaptable to change. 5, what stress dream do you have about leaving home? And that's not being able to find my place, people not seeing magic for what it really is and having those preconceptions. And then, what anxiety about the journey still troubles you when you wake? Learning nothing and wasting my year. So those were all of the reflections, and then the encounters, which I was supposed to have, 1 reflection and 1 encounter for each day. So on day 1 before I leave, I chose that my dad is a gardener, and his advice is to not take everything to heart. There are lessons to be learned along the journey, but everyone is living their own lives and their own journeys, and so not everything is a reflection of you and what you do. And then the other encounter is a spiky rebel who owns a boat. I named them Gavin, and wrote that they are too cool for school and their boat can't go anywhere because it's in a lake. So it's more like a boathouse, I suppose. I said that Ramara just tries to ignore them, but internalizes the barbs a little bit. So then we're at the goodbyes. So I chose, of the 4 options, I chose that it was just the pair of Ramara and Grotwin. So in the forest glade where we first met, I take my leave of Grotwin. No tears are spent, but there is a clenching in my heart as they weave heather into my hair for the journey ahead. There is a proud look in their eyes as I head off, Dahlia at my side. And I just want to point out the reason why I'm struggling to read this is my handwriting is genuinely awful. Sometimes I can write, sometimes I cannot. This last session I could not. But with that, we're on the journey ahead. So let us take a look at the PDF. So, journey, and I will read the instructions appropriately this time. So, you are on the move, flying high over unknown lands to find a new home. The journeys last for 2 exciting days. To begin the first day, roll 2 dice. Use 1 result for a reflection and 1 for an encounter. Create a new journal entry using your answers to these prompts. Then roll again for the second day, following the same process. When you're finished with both entries, flip the page to Koriko. So, I'm starting a new page. I wrote journey on this page. I'm not going to waste paper. So, starting with the reflections, I rolled a 5. Flight is tiring, and sooner or later you must rest. Are you finding places to stay or camping out in the wild? Well, based on my description of Ramara so far, she does seem to be a little bit more of an outdoorsy type. So, I'm just going to write reflection day 1. So flight is tiring and must rest. I'm just going to shorthand it. And the prompts that they give are I already messed that up. Canvas tents, family homes, quaint hotels, ancient stones. I found myself lagging late in the afternoon. My first day. I'm gonna write this and then I'll read it aloud. Enjoy the sounds of the snores. So I wrote, I found myself lagging late in the afternoon my first day out and stopped to rest by a brook so similar to my own back home. Dahlia perked up and loved exploring and scared a frog into motion. Let's see. We continued on. Before stopping for the night. And camped out in a glade staring up at the stars. Okay, so now I have an encounter. 2. This feels very appropriate given the themes of Kiki in this. My encounter on day 2. Day 1 is number 2, which is midair you meet another witch. Well established in the town you're passing over. What important job are they returning from? How are they just like you, and how do they set themselves apart? And it says fate spinning, mushroom farming, curse breaking, cattle charming. Well, I'm going to switch away from the Kiki references because I don't think that that is something that I want to do. So I feel like a farming witch. I like that. So, near the end of day 1, and we came across another witch. Exclamation point. She had a micro pig as a familiar. Named Gus because I like the sound of that. And excitedly talked about her village. And how excited they were to have her help. She helps the farmers. With their crops and animals. I was sad to see her go. Is there anything else that I needed to do with this? What important job are they returning from? I would say that she was just helping a farmer round up their sheep. So she had just returned from helping a farmer round up his sheep and needed to return to her own farm. Okay, that's good. So day 2. Let's see what I roll. 4 for my reflection. Back home, there were many customs you were expected to follow, free of judgment, which of you abandoned. And the examples they give are ankles covered, braided hair, never smile, morning prayer. Well, she's quick to smile, so I feel like that's wrong. I kind of like the idea of the braided hair. So for hometown customs abandoned. I woke up in the morning my second day out. And couldn't be bothered to braid my hair. The gossips would die of shock. It feels so lovely to have the wind in my hair. Ooh, next page. As I fly. Though I may regret it later when my hair is completely tangled. Oops, sorry, I bumped the mic. It'll be nice to have the option to braid my hair rather than the necessity. Ooh. Okay, and lastly, my second encounter, 3. Taking a break, you're startled by the cheery greeting of another traveler. I'm meeting a lot of travelers. What is their destination? What snack do they offer to share with you? What do you admire about their outlook? Nomad merchant, idle ramble, family visit, head unscramble. I love these prompts. They're so much fun. Okay, I like the idea of a nomad merchant. So, Dahlia and I... Yes, Dahlia, I know. Child, do you mind? I know I said your name, but you don't need to snore so loud. Dahlia's being so loud right now. Dahlia and I took a break in the shade of an oak tree along a country road, and an old man laden with goods for sale came tottering by. He asked to join us. And told me of Koriko, because I feel like it wouldn't be, and yes, this is exactly where I'm going. A village just a little further to the south. He shared some pumpkin bread with us. And said he would come to visit should I settle there. Let's give him a name then. I realize I didn't give the other witch a name either. Let's see. Quick name. I like Ricardo. His name is Ricardo. That's fun. Okay. What else am I supposed to say? Let's see. What is their destination? What do you admire about their outlook? So... And I would say that he's heading to Koriko. It's just going to take him much longer because he's walking. And for all that he's an old man, he's still spry and happy and very, very cheerful. I think that's a good place to stop that section, which means that it's time to go to Koriko. Instructions. Somehow you know you've found the place, your new home, Koriko. Choose an approach and a welcome from the following sections. Create a new journal entry using your answers to these prompts. Then flip the page to conclude this volume with your first rest and letter. So, approaches. We have guided by nature, led by the crowds, drawn to the buzz, taken by surprise. So let's see. Guided by nature, it says, you can feel the flow of the terrain channel you forward. Then ahead of you, all at once, is the city. What natural feature frames the metropolis? How does its architecture reflect the landscape? When you rest for the night, what natural shelter do you make use of? Honestly, with the way Ramara is, I feel like this one makes sense. Or, so that one's good. Or, taken by surprise, despite its size, you almost fly straight past the city. How does it blend in with the surrounding environment? You pause to take a closer look. What alerts you to the bustling city concealed within? When you rest for the night, what hidden sanctuary do you discover? Honestly, between the two of those, I think that taken by surprise is more fun. So I'm gonna go with that one. Let's see. Taken by surprise. I realized that Ricardo had chosen perfectly. And Koriko was exactly what I wanted. In a city. Oh, and the examples that they gave were Cliffside carvings, deep ravine, treetop bridges, weird machine. I was leaning towards the treetop bridges. At first I thought it was just a forest. Until I realized that it was in fact a city. Built into the treetops. With a network of bridges connecting them all. Bridges and zip lines. Because why not? Oop. Okay. When you rest for the night, what hidden sanctuary do you discover? I chose to stay for the night closer to the ground. For Dahlia's sake. In a carved out tree. Made into a campsite for travelers. Okay, so that is the approach. Welcomes. So let's see, that was, yeah. Approach. Welcomes. Let's see. So we've got curiosity, indifference, apprehension, and chaos. Well, chaos doesn't make sense because it's not super different from my village because it's in the forest. Indifference, I feel like, makes sense for this because she's flying around and yet they have zip lines and things like that. So the flying is not really... It's a different way of getting around, but it's similar vibes. So people here are so busy they hardly notice you. When you're flying around on your broom, nobody looks up. What all-consuming fixation are most people focused on instead? Despite this, what familiar tradition is still seemingly honored? And the examples they give are fashion rules, strange devices, little prayers, exchange prices. So, indifference. I could easily get lost in the crowd. For all, it feels so homelike. No one is bothered by my flying around. Because they have their own zip lines. To get speedily from place to place. To get speedily from tree to tree. Let's see. Dad was right. They have their own lives. I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see if this is a nut that I can crack. I think that that's good enough. So now we have our rest and letter, and that will be the end of this stream for today. So let's see. As you reach the end of departure, take a moment to pause. Rest for 30 seconds. I won't make y'all wait for 30 seconds. Consider the ambitions you have for your year ahead and the experiences that might help you realize them. Then you may write a new lesson that captures those feelings. So, oh, that's interesting. Let's see. A lesson. So that's in my skills, I think. Or, no, power, care, craft, lore. That. Interesting. It says you may. We'll see. I feel like Ramara just wants to, like, not make a big splash or anything else, but just find her place, the simple things. That's more her vibe. Okay, so writing your first letter. I'll skip the lesson for now and I'll think about that. So writing your first letter. Now you're ready to write your first letter home to your mentor. Read the coda and choose 2 reflections using the answers in your letter. Then consider taking a break before turning the page to chapter 3. Of course. So coda, humble roof. You've found your new home, but you're still finding your feet. What temporary accommodation have you managed to secure? You are perfectly safe, but it's far from perfect. What frustrations do you have to deal with every day? Why won't you be able to stay here all year? It says, canvas shelter, hostel dorm, all-night diner, train platform. I feel like maybe for now, Ramara is staying in that traveler's carved out tree. And it's not that, it's certainly not a permanent place for her because of course other people will need to stay there too. It's not meant to be permanent at all. But as she's getting established and sorting herself out, this is where she would go and stay because it's known and it's comfortable, and Dahlia loves the moss that's growing there. Let's see. That's good enough. So reflections. Your journey to Koriko was long. What or who was most memorable about your travel? What do you miss about the open road? Okay. So 2 reflections.
Why here? As soon as you saw Koriko, you knew it was perfect. How are you sure it was right for you? What has chipped that confidence already? Advice. Back home, someone gave you some advice. How has it already proven useful? How do you worry it might get you into trouble? Small talk. Write something trivial about the flora or fauna you saw while traveling. What embarrassment or truth are you avoiding bringing up? Or fiction. Make up something interesting or impressive that happened on your journey. What do you hope your mentor will feel when they read it? So, I will eventually remember this dang mentor's name. I'm so bad at this. Grotwin. Dear Grotwin. I feel like Ramara would be truthful with this one to start, so... So the journey was easy enough, thank the stars, and we met an old man who suggested a town called Koriko to me. He was so right. It's built into the trees. And it's so lovely. Dahlia and I are on the lookout for our new home. And I'm hoping to report back positive news soon. So then the advice from Dad. Dad told me before I left to not take what everyone says and does to heart. The people of Koriko are so bustling and busy. It certainly seems that I'll need that advice. I hope that the people here will accept me. Because it's a truly beautiful place. Oop, I did a capital I. Let's fix that. We'll see. Much love to you all. Ramara, and Dahlia. Okay. That is my first letter. I might expand on that in the future when I actually type things out, but I think that that is a solid start. So with that, that ends our journey to Koriko. Chapter 3 will be Life in Koriko, and we will start using our tarot cards and the dice stacking. So we'll see how that goes. But in any case, with the length of these 3 videos that I've recorded so far, I do believe I'm just going to combine them all into one for my stream on Twitch, but they'll be their own individual videos on my YouTube channel. So transitions will be a little funky, but who cares? In any case, I'm truly enjoying exploring this world with you all, and I look forward to my actual life in Koriko next. So stay tuned for that. I will continue recording later, but you all have a good one, and I will see you next time. Bye.